Wow, we have a small audience.
I know, it's like our little army.
What's up, guys?
Hey, hey, hey.
Hi, I'm glad we traded skull rings. Your ring fits perfectly on my...
Moment. Okay, look.
Joe, do you have a skull ring? Or...
Yeah, I do.
All right. Badass skull rings unite. So, well, first of all, before talking about the music, I must say, Boston, we kicked your ass so bad last night.
I know you did.
You know what? We were originally scheduled to come into Montreal yesterday, and I'm going, you know, what if Montreal doesn't win? Then we won't be able to go out in the streets. And somebody might find out we're from Boston and kill us.
I know.
It was pretty loud in the streets last night. I was here.
You were here?
And I felt safe in my hotel room.
Yeah, there was a major, mini riot.
I didn't go out, but
No.
there was definitely, it sounded like an average night in New Orleans last night.
Yeah, it was Bourbon Street all over again. So, but we welcome you. The fight's over. We won.
Sports are one thing, and rock and roll is another.
Exactly. So, well,
Just all
So, you know,
really
anytime you
ecstatic.
wanna-
We've both got great hockey teams.
You know, we played the other night with, what was that band, Three Doors Down, or,
no, Bare Naked Ladies.
Bare Naked Ladies, and there was, we got along great. It was a great show, and the audience was happy.
I'm not surprised. You all seem like gentlemen. You know?
It's all
Be
in
careful on that aspect.
So, back with the blues, but back with the rock, too. Tell me about how you're going to integrate this kick-ass album into the live set, if you are at all.
About 5 songs in, we just metamorphosize into our blues-ass selves.
Uh-huh.
And, you know, picking the songs for this was like going back to when the band first started and what songs we loved and who we used to cover. And so, you know, Roadrunner and Baby Please Don't Go
Yeah.
was a few of those.
And so were you just feeling tired of the whole tour album or tour studio album kind of thing, and you just needed to keep it fresh? What was the reason behind it? There was the going back to the roots, but what was the reason behind the album?
The last record we made, the band was never in the room at once, at all. There was never a time when all 5 members of the band were in there, except at a business meeting or something, or some discussion
wrote
about
the
songs. Well, even then, the band wasn't in there because the band didn't really write the songs. I mean, there were outside songwriters involved. So the process of recording a record like that is really just people coming in and putting their guitar parts in to flesh out demos. So that's one way to make a record. But if you have a band that plays really well together, why not try taking advantage of that and accessing that? Because there are a lot of bands that can't play that well together, you know, and they have to make records that way. There's no right or wrong. All I'm saying is if you got like that aspect of a band, why not, you know, use it? So that's what we wanted to get back to.
I guess, so then is that admittedly saying that the playing and the music is what's always been keeping the band together and the reason that you guys are still around compared to a lot of other bands?
I guess a band feels best when it can just lay it out and say, check this out, and here's a record, and I did it in 6 weeks. You know, it's part of your roots, it's part of your lineage. Some songs take longer to work on. But this album was getting back to what we did, you know, in the early days, so it was very epiphanous.
So I like that.
No,
Get that on dictionary.com today?
We have been thinking about doing this record for years with a lot of encouragement from the record company. And we found ourselves in a situation where one tour was ending and we knew we were going to go back on the road 6 months later. So we said, it's time to do a record. What record can we do that we can realistically finish in 6 months? So it's like, all right, this is the time. You know, the opportunity presented itself. And, you know, the record just came out and we just happened to be in an era where people are really searching out guitar music, you know, from the past.
Totally.
So, I mean, we couldn't have designed the situation to be more in favor of the idea of doing this.
So, but the fact that you guys constantly tour together is a little bit paradoxical if you think of the fact of what you just said, that you guys were never in the studio at the same time. Was there a reason for that? Why did you guys just have trouble connecting in the studio?
It was just strictly how we made those records. I mean, that's kind of how it went. I mean, we love using new technology. We love, you know, moving from analog recording. I mean, it was just, it's not, like I said, it's not right or wrong. It's just how you do it, you know. And so we made a record that way. you know, and we had a lot of fun doing it that way. Everybody played really good. There's cool guitar riffs. There's good songs on it. There's, you know, the fans obviously liked it because we sold a lot of records, but it was just time to go in and make another record. Yeah. And like Tom said, we had this thing in the back of our minds that at some point we were going to make some kind of record like this. The time was right. We figured this would be something we could knock off in a few months, and
we did 3 months later.
And nice, so you know, we felt like this would be the time to do it. So it was just, you know, because we can, and it wasn't, you know, to say, it isn't to say we'll never record another record like Just Push Play, or that we will only record records like this one. I mean, we love to be able to try everything, and we wanted to go back. Really, the last time we made a record where everybody's take was their best take was going to be the one they're going to do that very moment was probably in 72 or 73, because ever since then we've always had the option of isolated amplifiers and you could always go back and fix it. This time it was like, shit, I don't want to be the one that screws up and make the rest of the band. If he had a great vocal performance, I didn't want to have a lousy guitar solo and say, Steven, you got to re-sing it. And same thing, he didn't want to have to, you know, if I had a brilliant solo, he didn't want to have to say, well, I got to re-sing it. So we all were on edge and really put ourselves on the line to deliver for the other four guys in the band. And that really made the energy be what it is.
Yeah, but I guess because having a 30-year career and having sold hundreds of millions of records and whatnot, they always say nearly 100 million.
Where's the money? Come on.
So, but you seem to
on the North Pole by now, if that was true.
Or a small piece of Africa. I don't know. But
we owned a part of Peru for a while there, didn't we?
We helped with their agriculture.
Yes, they're their most famous exports, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Baskets and sandals.
Right.
Espadrilles.
As the classy ones you're wearing today.
It's all about the socks. Look, my Betty Boopers, man.
Oh, dude.
Check it out.
She's got big tits.
She does. Slamming tits, baby.
But it seems like you, the last few years have been kind of reflective in the sense that you were given the MTV icon, you were inducted in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Everybody's saying, you know, with the return of Jack Douglas and whatnot, everybody's going, whoa, it's like back in the day and stuff. Have you guys been reflective at all on the fact that it's been 30 years?
No, but I have to say I've never heard as much of a positive response about a record in years and years and years. Just people coming up and saying how much they like it. You know, people saying, wow, man, this reminds me of back when. Wow, this is, you know, and that's all. I mean, reading reviews that say that. And beforehand, people saying, you know, we love your new stuff, but boy, wouldn't it be great if you could make a record like an old one? You know, and we're going, what? We can't do that. You can't go back. You know, it's like we have to keep moving forward. You know, and frankly, we didn't really know what they were missing. You know, from the new records, because I mean, we're writing. Our music is moving along. We're better songwriters than we ever were. Better players, better musicians. The band's playing great, and still they're going, well, it's not like it was it used to be. So we listen to the old records and we go, what's so fucking good about this? You know? So obviously,
did you figure it out?
Well,
yeah,
I think we did.
5 sheets to the wind.
I think we figured it out by going through this process and realizing just what it was going through the agony of sitting in a room no bigger than this with our instruments and a tape player and knowing we were going to make a record that way. And that's hard work.
Yeah, in the liner notes, you say the band is your only addiction or your best addiction ever.
Favorite addiction.
Favorite addiction?
Oh, yeah.
Is it?
Don't have to wake up in the morning with a hangover. Just listen to playback and love it or hate it.
So do you guys, I know fans get nostalgic, obviously. Do you guys ever get nostalgic for the
When you hear the energy of Baby Please Don't Go, put it on, close your eyes and listen. It's kind of reminds you of the beginning of Sweet Emotion, where in between the both speakers, the headphones like this, it's a place. You can live and walk around in there, and we created that again. And it's just 2 words. It feels good, you know, when you listen back. And we didn't try too hard. We didn't do this or add that or have an A&R man come in and say you need strings.
You know what it is for me? It's like every record that we've done in the last 15 years, by the time we're finished mixing it, I don't like the record. I don't listen to it. I usually put it, you know, it's like it's work. I go to work. I put the record on. I mix it. I work on the record. And then I go on and I listen to an AC/DC record or something. It always happens. With this record, I found myself playing it for the fun of it. And that's not like, that's just something I found myself doing, and that had to be pointed out to me by somebody who's close to me that noticed that was happening. They said, wow, you're listening to this record a lot, when you're not working on it. That's different. You haven't done that in a long time. Wow. Funny thing about that.
Yeah.
And you know what? I mean, we all were calling it a blues album. That's how we've referred to the project. But it's really, it's a rock record. There's plenty of highly qualified blues bands out there, but this is not like an esoteric, dry blues thing. This is balls to the wall, Marshalls cranked up, Joey pounding, Steven screaming, rock record.
Thank you for that very awesome rock and roll soundbite. It's boogie, awesome.
Blues is, something. If you want to get, I'll just give you this one little bit of definition. Blues was always about making a party out of as little music as possible, and that's what they would do. These guys would go from town to town, to street corner to street corner, and play with, their guitar and their foot stomping and try and get people going. And they would happen to be pretty well paid for the time. They could make $2 or $3 a night, you'd make a quarter a week in the fields. So these guys it was a good gig if you could get it. And these guys, their whole thing was to get the joint jumping, playing this kind of music. So blues wasn't always about, I'm down in the thing and it sucks here, and it's about the party, and it's about the juke joint jumping, and that's what we did with this. So in that sense, it is a true blues record. It's a blues record for our listeners and for us, because we want to take the simple chords that people have heard before, simple songs, and inject all that energy into it so that you feel it and you get that feeling, and then you want to get up and move, and that's what it's all about.
I like that, because
you used the word boogie before, which hasn't been used for decades except to mean something from your nose. But
well, I meant it from my
whole,
heart, not my nose.
Yeah, well, that whole, what the connotation of that is a certain kind of music that's all about the movement, making you want to dance. And it became an obsolete term. I mean, back in the Flock of Seagulls day, you wouldn't use that word or you'd sound old, And
back in the Flock of Seagulls day, if you listen to Flock of Seagulls, I think you were gay. Whatever.
Yeah, what she said.
So, okay, one last thing before we go. Because blues is cool, and you were smiling when you were talking about the blues, and you weren't smiling when you walked in, so there must have been something happening.
Not much that gets them off besides playing the guitar and the blues.
No, but I like it. I like it. But, okay, I heard you guys were going to be in the new Get Shorty movie, or you were going to be, or maybe all of you, called Be Cool.
Yeah, Be Cool. Yeah. The band is, yeah.
And the band is. And I've seen pictures of Joe before you guys met. Kind of nerdy, geeky. I've never seen pictures of you as a young lad.
Beyond nerdy.
Beyond nerdy?
Yeah.
Were you always cool?
Always cool. Born cool. My mother gave birth to a pair of lips. I grew right onto them.
That freaks me out.
Spent most of my time
his
in
bands when his bands would come up to New Hampshire, and we were like, wow, that mother's going to be so huge.
Oh, God, I got pictures of me and the Chain Reaction. They are so dweeby.
Oh,
okay.
No way.
Oh, yeah, I got, oh, yeah,
sorry.
it's just.
He said you were cool.
Yeah, that's sweet.
Yeah.
In the Northeast.
What?
I was being nice.
Okay, you were being nice? All
Listen,
right.
we're all on a path of, and Stephen taught us a lot about mainly music, and he was 2 or 3 years ahead of us. He had the advantage of hanging in the village and turned us on to a lot of good stuff.
I like it. Well, his skull ring's cool, but I think I have to give it back. Thank you very much. You know what? I should have just been the gold digger that left with it. Thank you very much.
I love you.
We've never let it be that simple.